I feel just filled with gratitude to be here at all. Gratitude for all of you. Gratitude for Nicholas and Rafaela, who decided to initiate this festival. It takes a lot of work, and I know from being on both sides of the screen, so to speak, that the volunteers that make this happen are so important. So thank you to all of the people who are working behind the scenes. I have gratitude for just being here in this body. Wow. Um, Similar to last year, I don't prepare a talk. I just speak from my heart. So, what has been happening for me um, over the last year since the last festival has been a deeper surrender into remembering and reconnecting or remembering what was never broken, the connection that's always there. The pranic lifestyle is a lot about deepening into a presence that is more vast than just this time, space, physical body reality. And going on this journey has been a series of surrenders. And most of that has been with joy, and some of it has been with resistance, and all of it is perfect. But mostly recently, it's been a lot of joy. It's been a lot of integration, and what was more of a roller coaster of life, as you know, is becoming more smoothed out. And my baseline seems to be rising and rising and rising. And so this bliss that used to arrive on occasion, I'd get a little taste here and there, now feels like it's in a constant in the background. It's like I have constant blue skies. There's all kinds of weather. I know that we've used this metaphor before. There's all kinds of weather that come and go, but I really still feel like I'm connected most of the time now to the vastness of my being, which is you as well, and all of life. I'm going to talk mostly about recent things, and if some of you have questions about specific things to pranic living, can ask those at the end. I won't be speaking so much about that specifically, but more about everything else that's been running through me in this last year. I've had a large influence in the last year of listening to Donald Hoffman. Does anybody know this fellow? He's a scientist. And in my previous years, recent years even, I wasn't really too much into science. I was kind of like, oh, science, that's that thing that limits me. And then I started to listen to some of what he was saying. And he started to speak about how science, good science, allows for the end of dogma, which means you're no longer in just a belief system. You're actually showing, like in a language such as mathematics or physics, the relationships of things. And so science is now kind of catching up to what mystics or spiritual traditions have been saying. And that excites me. It really does. I feel humanity is really on the verge of a very big initiation. And some of us have been taking these initiations throughout millennia. We take them individually, we take them collectively, and I think we're on the verge of something really cracking open for us, or blossoming open. Let's put it that way. And so he's been speaking a lot about the science that we've been living in. It predominates with the concept of belief structures. And in order to believe in something, it means that it's something has been externalized. It's not through direct experience. There's a disconnect there. There's a separation. And so I think that we are on the verge of letting go of belief structures and entering into the experiential knowing. And this is facilitated, of course, through all kinds of things. And pranic living is one of them. Pranic living is a way that we allow our physical body to enter into some of that knowing. I know that in this beautiful meditation this morning, Amitra, thank you, we used visualization. And visualization is something that allows us to go into our deep aliveness and kind of step out of our everyday limited perspective and view of things. The physicists are now saying that time-space is not a fundamental truth. Ooh. Oh yeah, I like that. There's now, science is now using the language of physics and mathematics to point to this is true. Einstein's theory of relativity, absolutely true, until, minus to 32 millimeters or minus to 43 seconds. At that point, Planck scale, time-space no longer applies. Whew. Science knows, good science knows this is true. And beyond this, we have no idea. It's true until here. red, color red exists in this spectrum, and over here is blue, and over here is yellow, and over there is something that we don't know yet through this avatar. But we are there also. We're just here in this vehicle. It's amazing, amazing vehicle of life to dive deeply into physical reality to play. That's how I see it. We're here to play. We're here to play with time, space, dimension. We're here to play with our physical body. We're here to play with all of what this mystery is, because a lot of it is a big mystery. I'm just checking to see if I'm speaking slowly enough. Good. I'm getting a thumbs up. Good job, Morgaine. So this really excites me because it's something that I intuitively know, yet I don't have an interface in the world with which to really express that sometimes. The world is really organized in a very specific way for specific things. And so those of us who experience something that's beyond that spectrum, it sometimes feels limiting or like a shoe that doesn't quite fit. And it can be a bit uncomfortable sometimes. So that's what I used to experience and what I used to resist. And now that's a new flower is blooming open for me, and it's integrating a bit more the vastness of being here, the vastness of my being. I am no longer playing small. I have a little body and I have a little life and I have a little Morgaine reality. And that's fun. I'm making sure that it's mostly fun. And also, there's the part of me that cannot be contained here. There is a consciousness, there is a Morgaine variety, flavor, a color that is much more wild, much more vast, can reach out and touch places that I didn't know before was possible. From being raised in a pretty regular Western family with regular concepts of life. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm so glad that I went through what I went through, that I felt everything I felt, that I chose that to be my doorway. Because it was my fuel for my rocket, so to speak. It was my way of saying, wow, why am I suffering so much? Why is life like this thing that isn't so easy? Why is things not making sense to me? Because it was such a strong experience, it really propelled me forward. It's like the noble truths in Buddhism is the truth of suffering. It exists in this time-space reality. We choose to experience that here. And then there's the truth of the cessation of suffering. And sometimes we choose to come in through that path so that we can remember, so that we can choose to remember. My guess is that if you're listening to this, that's probably true for you too. That you're here because you're choosing to remember and choosing to expand a bit beyond where you were. And that's called life. It's called life force energy. It's called universal life force energy, or prana, or chi. And it wants to move and grow and expand and explore and play. And so one of the things that have really been alive for me in this last year is some of you have experienced a little bit of this kindred meditation with me. But I dove deeply into last year at the festival. I messaged a friend of mine from my previous life as a photographer. He was also a photographer, and he just popped into my mind. And of course, living a life of synchronicity and doorway after doorway opening perfectly, I just messaged him and said, I haven't talked to you in years, and I'm curious about you again, and what you popped into my mind, and what are you up to? And he mentioned this practice that he developed and has been sharing. And he didn't have to say anymore. I just felt it. I had goosebumps. I said, whatever it is that you're creating, my brother, I'm in. Show me, share it with me, please. Let's play together like little kids. And so I went and started exploring this somatic meditation practice. And it, of course, is perfect for me, perfect for my personality of what I am in this body in this lifetime. Because I'm big on joy, I'm big on playing, and I'm big on moving and having fun and smiling a lot and making life really juicy and awesome. And I can now do that. I've been practicing doing that no matter what's going on. The more we practice being present through whatever practices you enjoy that come to you, meditation, yoga, tai chi, qigong, running, swimming, dancing, all of those things that we do as humans. And if you're childlike like me, just playing, just playing, talking to your plants or playing with animals, whatever it is that brings you joy, do more of it. That this practice really matched for me. And one of the things that it does for me is in this practice, it reminds me that all of my aliveness is perfect and always present. It's not what's happening in this time-space reality around me that determines that. Everything that we see here in this reality, physical reality, is in the past tense. It's the effect of previous thoughts, thought forms of us, of humans, of other life forms, of the infinite. It's a collection, it's a co-creation of all of the thoughts that ever existed. And we're at a point now where this time-space reality was a thought form that we chose to dive into. But it's contained within us, within the infinite possibilities that exist, that from this perspective in this avatar we may not have access to. But even scientists are now saying they exist and there are forms out there. So I studied with Indigenous elders. And one of the things that I learned from one of my teachers, Steve Richards, who's an Indigenous elder from Australia, he would tell me about how all thoughts have a form. They exist. As soon as you think it, it exists in the universe. They're beyond what we visually see with our physical eyes. But for those of us who can see through other means, we can see them sometimes. Sometimes they might just be a glimmer. Sometimes they might have a very strong form. And they can come and go. And we are the God or the creator of that thought form. We are creating infinite universes. Each of us is an infinite universe, creating constantly. A thought, and he taught me that a thought, the more energy you give to it, the more attention you give it, the more emotional energy you give it, a thought becomes a thought form, becomes a life form, becomes an entity. We can actually birth life forms like we can in the physical form. We are constantly birthing them. So it might be something that comes and goes and we don't feed it. It's just a fleeting thought. But some of them we choose to give our attention to. And we've developed the habit of giving our attention to the things that are outside of us. A lot of attention is going to all the things that are outside of us, which we just realized is the past. So we're focusing on the past, which means we're reinforcing it and we're recreating it. The mind, I learned from my photographer friend, Jesh. Hi, Jesh, if you listen to this talk. I love you. He taught me about this way of looking at the mind. There's three minds that there's an infinite number of ways that we can describe things, but this is the way that he's choosing to describe it. And I thought it was very useful. We have a form that has come through our ancestors, through our parents, with information packets stored there. And we come from previous incarnations, and there's information packets stored there. So we're already arriving with a bunch of information packets. And then we are taught how this reality works. Here's how you move your body, here's how you stand up, and here's how you go. And eventually, here's how you ride a bicycle and fly a plane and do all the things that humans do in this reality. Here's how it works. And through time, this time-space reality has repeated some constants which have to do with emotions like fear and survival and belonging and am I okay? Am I worthy of love? Am I going to have a good life? All these things that are from this external reality that was given to us. We've accumulated this over time of humans repeating some cycles in this physical time-space reality. We might call that evolution. But we call this part the animal mind, the evolution. We have a physical form that we can come into with a whole history that's like an animal body. And how do I survive with this? We've been trained that this thing can die and we need to be a little bit worried about that. And, you know, someone might not like us and that means that we might not be loved and we might not have a family and we might be sad for the rest of our lives or some crazy story like this. Slow down, Morgaine. And so we tend slower. Yeah, I can go slower. So we tend to receive all of these packets of information and kind of just take that as reality, as truth, as this is how life is. We need to eat food to survive. We need to behave and do what we're told to be loved. We come through an evolutionary chain where if we don't fit in, we don't belong and we won't survive. Tribal living. There's an ancient memory of this from our animal body. So our animal mind functions with this theme of survival, fight and flight, and reaction. It's a part of us. We all experience it. And then we move into what he calls the knowledge mind. And the knowledge mind is packets, more packets of information. By absorbing, by reading, by going to school, by listening to others who we want to listen to fit in order to survive. And the knowledge mind works through repetition, through just absorbing information and then repeating it, through pattern language, through and animal mind and knowledge mind are very useful. We need them. It's a part of us. This body, we want to know how to be on the earth, how to stay in our body. You know, if we don't have the capacity for knowing what happens if we, you know, come in contact with something, a hot fire or something, you know, we need to know, we need all of these parts, how to survive with our animal body. And also the information that we can just install and repeat. Like, I don't need to relearn how to drive a car every time I get in. So it's very useful. But also, just like time and space, here's where it ends. Here's where its usefulness ends. And there's another mind that we have called, he calls it, my friend Josh, he calls it the intuitive mind. And the intuitive mind is basically accessing the unknown. And this is where all the magic happens. This is where we play. This is where we have the most fun. This is where life is the juiciest. This is where you remember as a child where you would play hide and seek and how much fun it was when you found somebody. Imagine if you knew where everybody was hiding already. Not very fun, right? Not very interesting. The unknown is the vastness of life, the vastness of all of existence. It's every thought of the infinite intelligence of life. And we have access to that at all times. The vast unknown is what brings us the greatest feeling of being alive. It also brings us the greatest amount of fear if we haven't learned how to create safety for ourselves and how to create a space where play can happen in a good way. So we're on this planet with a lot of other human beings and a lot of other life forms and the infinite all at the same time. And we can imagine again playing as a child. And if we decide, okay, we're going to play that we're on a ship sailing across the ocean and I'm a pirate and you're a princess, okay? We just set the container. And that's like this time-space reality. And now we know there's an infinite number of possibilities that can happen within that. And it can also change at any time, and we can grow and change. But most of us have been stuck in our animal mind, so that play without, I would say, exploration without safety never becomes play. In fact, it can be quite dangerous sometimes. It can be where the rules of the game change quite quickly and something unexpected happens and something that isn't so pleasant happens. So when we are coming out of this space of our packets of information that we've accumulated and we're entering into the unknown, it's good that we create a small container for ourselves in order to have exploration become play. And so that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing with this somatic meditation practice. We create a small container. Just as the meditation this morning, the container was, we're going to visualize, we're going to sit, we're going to close our eyes and we're going to visualize. And we all kind of knew what we were doing now. We create a container where we can connect with one another without being our animal mind being too triggered. If our animal mind is being too triggered, we will never get past the fearful exploration, the fear of the unknown into play. So it requires, in my opinion, a constant practice of creating a container within which we can access the infinite in a playful way. That's fun. We can be like children again. No, I'm not a pirate anymore. Now I'm a bird. In a moment like that. And if we have let go of our walls, our accumulated fearful things that we've stacked up over time in this reality, we can access these spaces of the infinite. So that's mostly what I've been up to in this last year. The last things that I will touch upon is that going on a path that, like pranic living, requires us to step into the unknown. When we haven't experienced it yet, and we see other people who are talking about it, we are now in the knowledge mind. We're saying, oh, this could be real. It's real for them. That means maybe it could be real for me. But we're still maybe a little bit in our animal minds, maybe a little bit of fear, a little bit of things, a little bit of these packets of information like, oh, that maybe isn't for me though, or all sorts of things that can arise in that. The main thing about going through this is that we acknowledge all of what is arising. It's all perfect. It needs to come up. We need to hear that voice that says, ooh, that's scary. Or, yeah, I don't know that that's for me. Yeah, meditation, I never see anything. I close my eyes and I don't see anything. And I start thinking about my shopping. That's right. Until it's different. It's like that until it's different. And so maintaining a practice to enter into that infinite space more and more allows for that to melt away. I feel that I'm reading a book recently called Soulcraft. I don't really read books like totally thoroughly anymore. I just open them up and go, okay, show me. And I have an agreement with my spirit that only the things that I'm meant to know or meant to have in this moment, I'll receive it. So everything else, it doesn't reach me. And this thing about initiation, this book, Soulcraft, is about how slightly different than traditional psychology. Traditional psychology wants to get, the aim is to have coping and adaptation happening in a better way so that we can integrate into this reality and function better. That's great, can be helpful, but probably the reason why you're here listening or listening in the future online is something more along the lines of soul work, soul craft. And soul craft, the purpose of it isn't to adapt to this world, it's to create initiation so that we can create change and expansion and enter the unknown even more, so that we become adapted to that. And I think that that's what we are collectively entering into now, a collective initiation where all of these new packets of information that is now reaching science, it's swirling in our collective thought forms now. It's available to us more and more and more because lovely people like Raki, like Amudra, like all of you are contributing to this. And we're in a collective initiation moment. And then we will be in the transition, and then we will be in the manifestation. So just like in a pranic process, you go through an initial experience. Maybe you change your diet a bit. Maybe you go through a process with someone facilitating. Maybe you've been experimenting with all kinds of things. that's like the initiation, the initial moment that starts a new pathway opening, new doors opening. And then a transformation happens. The more you step in that direction, it becomes more integrated, more accessible. We touch the infinite a bit more, and our animal mind relaxes more and more, and our knowledge mind is more integrated. And we are operating mostly now in our intuitive mind. We become so comfortable with the unknown that it just becomes a baseline. Anything can be happening. It's always unknown. In fact, we don't know what the next moment will bring. And so the more we get comfortable with that in doing practices where we enter that space, we enter that field of bliss more and more. It becomes our normal. I think that's my sharing for now. So if you have questions, the lovely Rocky here has the microphone.
Does anyone have any questions? Well, I have a question. Oh, yes.
Hi, Morgaine. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate your serene tone very much. The room is like full of bliss. You've been on the pranic path for quite a while, and I was wondering if you might want to share about how this has affected your relationships and sexuality.
Yeah. I'd love to share about that. Relationships and sexuality. If you're watching, hello, you know who I'm saying hi to. Relationships. So relationships, I have many forms of relationships. I have relationships with all of life. I have relationships with my plants. I do somatic meditation with my plants even. They love it. They talk back. We have good conversations. Intimate relationships have evolved over time. And what I can say is that whatever I require for my personal trajectory, my spiritual trajectory, arrives to me in perfect timing. And so, regardless of what it looks like, if it looks like a challenge or if it looks like, I don't know what would be the equivalent of your bliss, but, you know, like entering into an endless honeymoon, making love for days and days. I don't know what your version of it is, but it doesn't matter what is happening in that external form for me as much as being available to life. And so everything arrives to me in order to reveal more and more. I have no more resistance. So that doesn't mean that I agree to everything. It doesn't mean that I don't make boundaries for myself, as in, here is what I require for my path forward. It's more about finding beautiful agreements with people that I have relationships with. And that is fluid and comes and goes and changes, obviously, because no one is stagnant. Everyone is changing moment to moment. And so holding on and trying to make something a certain specific form and make it go through time and space in a specific way is a form of fear, I think. That's not to say that that can't happen. It absolutely can. But that would happen because it was happening, because life was making that happen, not because it was being forced or it was because it was who thought it was a good idea. it's happening because it is happening on its own. So I went through some pretty beautiful moments in I was in a relationship for 3 years, and then a lot of challenges as our consciousnesses are functioning slightly differently in how we perceive things and how we have integrated different perspectives and information. And so there was a moment where I had decided that I was no longer going to define myself as a partner to this person. And that didn't change anything. Like, I feel exactly the same way towards this person as I did before. It's just that the knowledge mind and the animal mind that was in operation between us needed a different name. I feel exactly the same way as I did before. But what was being exchanged between us needed a different name. So there's a possibility that that relationship could bloom again in a different color, or that that canvas that's empty now couldn't have a new painting put onto it. I'm open to that. Or a completely new form arriving. My main thing is that my relationships have to serve life, that they can't serve my animal mind or the other person's animal mind. I think I'm using these terms. I think somebody else was saying the ego. Yeah. Somebody was using the word the ego mind. Or if I can't access and serve life in the way that is being requested of me by life in that relationship, I will let it go. That's scary for some people, but what is inside of myself, how I love, never changed. That's what I have to say to that. Did that answer your question? Yeah. Sexuality, I didn't talk about that. I like it. That's all I'll say about that.
I have a question.
Yes.
In what way do you use your intuitive mind?
Great question. Thanks, Rocky. In what way do I use my intuitive mind? My intuitive mind is the part of me that when I feel something, old packets of information from animal mind or from the culture that is trying to recreate the past, I embrace it. I really just embrace everything. So whatever is arriving, it's always new. I think I know who you are, but I don't, because you might be different in 5 minutes from now. And I think I know how this world works, but I'm learning more and more that I don't know even a smidge. And that's fun. My goodness, what's next? What am I going to learn next? And so my intuitive mind is a part of me that just wants to play all the time. Like if I have a challenge in my life, I'm like, I'm going to dance my way through this. This is going to be so much fun because I'm going to learn something I did not know before. And I've just done enough practice of facing the things I'm afraid of and going straight there anyways, that it just feels like play now. I'm about to go sailing for the first time. with my dear friend. I don't know. I was about to say some word. I don't know anything about sailing. I know nothing. And there's a little kid in me that's like, I don't really know how to swim very well. Just, I probably should tell you that. But I'm so excited. I'm excited for exploring challenges in relationship. When there's a friction, I'm like, oh, like that's my growth edge. That's the thing that wants to be shown to me. Like, isn't sex friction? It's great, eh? Friction's good. It's the thing that shows us I'm alive here. Life wants to show me this thing where I can expand more. I'm good with that. Like, so my intuitive mind is my everyday life now, where I'm just stepping out into the unknown as much as I can. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, it did. Thank you so much for that. Any other questions before we wrap it up? Well, I have one more question. I want to know what Morgaine is playing with now.
What am I playing? You have such good questions, Rocky. I love you. I'm playing with communicating with all of life. I'm playing with what it means to be fully alive in this body. I'm not afraid of emotions. I'm not afraid of pain. I know that there can be more than one truth at one time, even opposites. Somebody can need to eat solid food. If they don't eat solid food, they will starve and die. That's true. That happens on this planet. And we have theories and all kinds of things about why that happens. And oh my goodness, we all better eat. There's an egregore there. And at the same time, there's a seemingly opposite truth, which is there are people that take nothing, no solid food, and even no liquids, in even as far as the breathless state of no air. Ooh, we're going to open that box up. Pandora's box. Breathless state. It exists. There have been avatars in human bodies on this planet for millennia showing us, not using scientific instruments, showing us through the instrument of their human technology. Look what's possible. Look how we can play. Let's stop playing small. Let's become fully alive. And just how, how you can have a small, like, talk with somebody where there's a friction point and our old program or an old packet of information gets triggered. We like this word triggered. And you can do emotional escalation, and over nothing, all of a sudden it's like bombs going off or something. It's like we have an engine in us called feeling. And feeling is part of what is magnificent about us. We want it. It's what brings us more aliveness. Who doesn't love running through a field and going like this over the grass or splashing puddles as children? It's aliveness. We feel it. It's a feeling state. Emotions, kind of talk about the difference between feeling and emotions. Emotions is something that's more a reaction from the external that is being triggered, and it can grab us and grab hold of us. It's one of those kinds of almost thought forms that come and take over. This is what we're slowly letting go of and entering back into our feeling state. So just like we can have emotional escalation in a non-beneficial way, where we are causing tensions, non-beneficial tensions with others. And I could take it a step further and say, that's actually not true either. Everything serves us. But just for this picture, we can generate emotional escalation in a beneficial way. We just rarely practice it. We're not practicing it, but we can. You know, when you go up to your friend that you haven't seen for ages and you look them in the eyes, checking, I have one more minute, and you look them in your eye and you're running across the field. I haven't seen you in ages. Hi, Tal. And you're running and you're like, oh my, it's emotional escalation. And I'm going about to embrace, oh, the best hug ever. Yes, yes. There's a circuit that's created, and it's emotional escalation in a way that we love. We feel more alive or fully alive. That's what I've been playing with. And we can do that with one another. And that's what I've been talking about this kindred practice, meditation practice, emotional escalation with one another. We are built to do this. Our biotechnology is built for this. We are built to create circuit with one another and amplify it. We have that capacity. That's what churches are. Hallelujah. You know, we have various forms of it, but we can do it at any moment, at any time. We can do it on our own as well. We can amplify whatever it is we want. That's what Netflix is. We're addicted to it because we love it. We love emotional escalation. We're built for it. This is why we came here, is to play and to amplify the magnificence of being in this body and experiencing everything that's here, everything that's available to us. And it's not limited to these packets of information that we've had before. And I think what we're on the cusp of doing now is amplifying something absolutely extraordinary that we still don't know. It's mostly in the mystery. My mentor, I'll end on this, my mentor who was teaching me about how to loop space and time and heal, do healing work with this. And if you're curious, you can come talk to me afterwards. But in this way that, oh, there's so much to, I'll talk again next year. How we use the breath. There's so many ways that we can access this stuff. But he said, in our millennia of arriving here over and over again as human beings, and we come back because it's amazing. It goes mineral, plant, animal, human. And we are on the verge of knowing what comes after that. From our human avatar perspective, which is this spectrum mostly that we're operating from, we're about to go. It's arriving right now through all of you and through the circuit that we're creating together. And it's absolutely magnificent. Anyone who's gone to the other side and come back, they report the exact same thing. Oh my goodness. It's magnificent. We have no idea when we're doing this. So I invite us all to do this and play together. I'm doing Kindred tonight as a practice. So we'll have a chance to play together and access all of this unknown together. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.